Okay, sorry on the delay, guys. Start doing this question. And once you're done with the question, raise a hand in Zoom. We'll be starting afterwards, okay? Yes, walaikum salam. Sorry on the delay, guys. Start doing this question. And once you're done, start doing this question. Once you're done, raise a hand in Zoom. Huh? Those who are done with the question, raise a hand in Zoom. Okay, let's start now. Okay, sorry the gap, guys. Let's start now. That's fine. Otherwise, you can catch up. What do you call that 1 minute show? I didn't get you, Akil. This is a Vishaka paper, Swabe. Why do you want to make that, Vishnu? Okay, Surya. Okay. So basically, only 23 of you all have done the question. What, man? Yeah. So did you shite, Shite, shite. Okay, let's start. Okay, so the question is mentioned here, following are the table of a human resource management system of a smart tech company. Give me a moment. Okay. So they have given you database of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables are there here. And the first question they have mentioned that the company gets a new project from NICO products. Okay. Called NICO payroll. Okay. And the project ID is PD07 and decided to start it on 25th of May 2024 and hopes to end it on 1st of August 2025. Write the updated records of the table. Fine. Now, when you read this for the first time, you might be confused if you don't know what the table is about. So always when you get a database question, you don't have to understand properly, but roughly go through all the tables and see, do you have a rough idea on what are the data we are storing? Like for example, if I go for the employee table, I can see there is a column called employee ID, employee name, contact, department ID. So I can get a rough idea that every employee working in our company, they're listed here. Then you can see we have another table called department. We have HR, finance, technical, minor stuff. So by going through that table, I can get a rough idea. Okay, these are the departments we have in our company, and we have also recorded in each department how many people are there. So we have a customer table. So we can see the customers we have are Nico products. Now, when I'm going through the table, I can see this Nico product. He's actually a customer of us. So every customer we have here. So by going through these three tables, I can understand all the employees working are there here, all the departments the company have are here, all the customers of our company, we have recorded them here. Now let me go through the remaining two tables. I have a table called project table. In the project table, you can see there are multiple projects we have started. Okay. And they have given a name for every project. Okay. There is a name for every project. And every project has a start date. Every project has an end date. And we have the customer from whom we have got that project. Okay, fine. So this is something about human resource management system. And so basically, you can see here, we have multiple projects. And then we have something called customer ID as well, which means maybe under which customer is a project coming. For example, if you see, we have a customer called C001. You can see C001 custom, he has two projects he has given for us. One is a Nico HR and one is a stock control. So there are two projects we are making for this company called Nico HR. Okay, fine. So we're making the for customer one. Customer one is for Nico products. Then apart from that, you can see there is a table called project assignment. And we can see there are multiple project IDs mentioned. Okay. So are there any repetitions here? No. Then we have employee IDs. So we can see are there any repetitions? Yeah. For example, you can see employee 2. He is working in two projects. He's working in the project 3 and project 5, meaning he's working the HR system project as well as KVHR as well. He's working two projects. And in one of the project, his role is tech role. In other project, he's working SC. SC means software engineer. PM means project manager. So you can see what are their roles. Like for example, software engineer is a role. Project manager is another role. Tech lead is another role. So these are different roles each of these employees are in this project. And when was that what you called employee assigned for that project is also mentioned here. Okay. So now when I go through this table, go through the whole database, I can roughly get an understanding of the purpose of each table. When you're not getting a database question as well, first of all, go through all the tables and try to understand, okay, what type of data are we storing here? For example, I can see there are 5 tables here. So by going through all these table, tell me, let's say there's a new employee joining our company. If a new employee join our company, which table do you think will update? So these are the 5 tables we have. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So out of these 5 tables, tell me, let's say the company has hired a new employee, right? Which table do you think we'll be updating that data in? Exactly, because employee table has all the details about the employees. If a new employee comes, we are going to store it there. So this is talking about a software development company. You can see Smart Tech Software Company. This is a company. Okay. So now let's say for our company, we have got a new client. Okay, a new client means a person has come up with a new project, a new client. Okay. So that new customer, his details will be there in which table? Perfect. When there is a new customer, those customers' details are going to be there in the customer table. Okay. Now let's say now these customers, they're right. All these customers, they come up with one projects. Now, for example, if I take, let's say, for example, I'll take Rizlancer. Okay. If you take Rizlancer, he might have come up with multiple projects for me. He would have come, okay, I want the website for Master Online. I want a website for Master Maths. I want a website for students to handle students' reports, let's say. I want a website to, let's say, send SMS for the students. So this one customer is coming with multiple projects for me. So these are called projects. Okay. So for example, let's say one of our customers wants to start a new project, wants me to make a new system for him, let's say. So if I want to start a new project for him, then which table will I update? Perfect. I will update the project table. Now, apart from that, you can see there's something called project assignment as well. Currently, the project assignment, you can see there is no repetitions. It's like all of them are unique. But just practically tell me, when we are developing systems, mostly in large scale companies, do you think only one, what do you call, only one employee will be working in one system? or there will be multiple employees working under one system. Let's say if you want to create a system, to create a system, do you think only one person will be working, multiple people? Perfect. Mostly multiple people will be working. Even though in a given example, we can see only one person. Again, this is just a part of the database. So if you look at the question properly, they are told it's a partially shown database. So if you do the full database, sometimes we might have multiple what you call people work in the same project as well. Anyways, first of all, make sure our details each table have, because without doing that, it's difficult to handle the question. Now, again, let's come for the first question. The company gets a new project. Okay, we have got a new project from Nico Products. Now, Nico Product is whom? Is he an employee, or is he a customer, or is it a project name, or what is that actually? This Nico Product. By now, going through the table, we got a rough idea, right? Nico Product is what? He's our. What about when creating a customer application? Everything is a project. Correct. Nico Product, you can see that's one of our customers. Okay. So he wants to start a new project called Nico Payroll, which has a project ID of P07, it seems. And he wants to start this on 25th of May and hopes to end it on 1st of August 2025. Write the updated records of the table. Okay. Now, first of all, tell me, is Nico Product an existing customer? Yes or no? Perfect. Nico Product, he's actually an existing customer. So is there any change I have to do for the same thing, Hannah? Multiple people? Depends on the scale. Small scale maybe one, but large scale mostly multiple people. So therefore, tell me, if Nico Product is an existing customer, are there anything I have to update in the customer table? No, nothing is there to update in the customer table. So to show that we are going to start a new project called Nico Payroll, and we're going to start it on 25th May and finish it on 1st of August. To show this, which table do you think we have to update? Perfect. We have to update the project table. So the question is said to use a specific format where table name and to use this, there's a format they have mentioned in the bottom. So we have to follow that format. Huh? So following that format, if you're going to create the write the answer, your answer would be something like this. First of all, you have to mention the table name. Your table name is project table. So you can mention just the word called project, or you can mention project table as well. So I'll mention the table name only. So project table. And then the project table, each of these columns, we call them as fields. The first field should have project ID. The question has mentioned here to take the project ID as P07. So I'm going to take P07 here. It's mentioned here, okay? Then the second field in the project table is project name. The question has mentioned project name as Nico Products. So Nico Payroll. So I'm going to mention that here, Nico Payroll. The third field contains a starting date. So here they're going to start on 25th May. Make sure that you write this date in the correct format. Like we look at all the dates given here, there's a format they're following now. So that format I'm going to mention 25th May 2025. And then we have the end date. So end date also make sure you follow the respective format. 1st of August means 1/8 2025. Then after end date, next year custom ID. Now Nico Payroll was made for Nico Products. So go through the whole database and tell me what is Nico Products custom ID? Perfect. You can find it here. Nico Products custom ID is what? C001. So I'm going to mention here that his custom ID is C001. So this is how you have to mention the answer here. If you got it correct, mark it correct, put 2 marks there. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. I didn't do it in that format. I wrote in table format. Are you blind? The question is clearly mentioned here not to use only the table name blah blah format. So if they have clearly mentioned like this and you use table format, they will not give you marks. If they have not mentioned this and you use, then sometimes they'll palm path, they might give you marks. But if they have mentioned like that, they will go fly a kite. 3 zeros. Oh yeah, sorry. By the way, in these kind of questions, make sure your spellings all are exact matching. Like simple letters, capital letters, they won't make a big fuss. but spelling and all, they make a big fuss, okay? No, you can't. If they have mentioned to use this format, use this format. Tudun, 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 tudun. Is it Tara? I didn't write C 001. Will I 0001? Will I get zero? Yes, you will get zero. When questions are easy, marking scheme is strict. When questions are hard, mostly they'll find courtesy. But when the questions are easy, they will not, what do you call, be lenient with your. Depends on the teacher, Zura. No, Zaina. Not even once I have seen like that. Is it, Hara? Won't there be any adjustments in project assignment table? What is the adjustment you're going to make in the project assignment table? Do we know any? Have they mentioned who is the employee assigned for the project? No. Or else, have they even mentioned when was he assigned or what was his role when he was assigned? Nothing. So there's nothing to do in the project assignment. But that's not how all our teachers are, Zura. Okay, question number two. It is required to show the names of employees who work on projects that started before May 2024. Which table needs to be joined for this purpose? Okay, when you're getting database questions, you might get this word called join and you might get a word called query. Whenever they use a word called query, keep in your mind they're referring to extracting data or else obtaining data from a table. Whenever they use a word called query, or if they use a word what should be joined to obtain these details, they're indirectly meaning to obtaining the respective data. What are the tables you have to go through? Now, let's say if let's forget about computer. As a human, let's say if you were given the task to tell me the names of the employees who was working on the projects that started before May 2024. You were given the task. I asked you, okay, tell me the names of the people who work on the projects that started before May 2024. Then first, which table? Okay, I'll make your work very easy. Okay, I'll give numbers for this table. So let's call this one. Let's call this two. Let's call this three. Let's call this four. And let's call this table as table number five. Okay. So tell me, if I gave you the task of telling me the names of employees who work on the projects that started before May 2024, first, which table will you go to? Either you have to update a record. You can't just mention the project ID only. There's no purpose. No? Without a purpose, you can't just mention. But first, which table will you go through? Some of you all are checking other people's answer. When others say one answer, like, okay, let's also tell the same answer. You're like giving the same answers, no? Yeah, I mean, not even one correct answer I got. Okay, one correct answer, two correct answer. Aisha correct, Saifur Rahman correct. Then after one fella get the correct answer and I copy all the correct answer. Now the people who said the answer is number four. Okay, if I just look at this table, tell me. If I just show this table, tell me what is the what is the data you're going to obtain from this table? We have one, two, three, four columns, right? Okay, out of these four fields, what is the data you're going to obtain? If you're going to come for this table first, I'm saying the people who are saying to come for this table first, what is the data you're going to obtain from here? First, you don't come here first, man. Read the question properly. The question is saying we want the names of employees who work on the projects that started before May 2024. So first of all, we should know what? We should know what are the projects that started before May 2024. So if you want to know what are the projects that started before May 2024, then which table you go to? Then what is this, Amina? Ane Borgia Nepa. Exactly. You have to go for the project table. In the project table, first of all, you have to figure out what are you can see there's something called start date. You have to first of all go and see what are the projects that started before May 2024. Okay, before May 2024. So technically, if you look at the given data, have they given the date? No. Before May means before May, before May, before May, before May. These are the projects that started before May. So first of all, you'll be going for the project table and you'll get all the project IDs. Huh? You have to get the project IDs of what you called that started before May 2024. Now, after you know, now let's say you went through this table and you figured out, okay, let's say you went through this table and you figured out what are the projects that started before May 2024. After you figure out the projects, now we don't want the projects, no, we want the names of employees. So if you want to find the names of employees after you come for table 5 and get the projects, next which table are you going to go to? You came to table number 5 and you figure out what are the projects that started before May 2024. After you went there, second where are you going to go through? They don't lie, yeah, Mina. You told what you went first. So after going for 4 only, you understand that you are supposed to go for it. Okay, if you're saying we have to go to 4 first, tell me, okay, go to 4 first and tell me who are the employees, what are the projects we started before May 2025 for? Look at this table and tell me what are the projects we started before May 2024. Tell me. Let's see. You see the date and realize May is not there, so you go for 5. We want before May, man. No, this is before May. This is before May. This is before May. These are before May, no? If you're going to see the date here. Then what do you mean by that? You don't have to come for this table, man. This is not talking about the date the project was started. This is talking about the date an employee was assigned for the project. Okay, so there's nothing you have to come and take here first. First of all, you have to come for the project table. And you first of all figure out what are the projects that started before May. So these are projects that started before May 2024, before May, before May, before May, and before May. So first of all, you'll be getting the what are the projects. So these are the projects that started before May. Now, after you figure out what are the projects that started before May, now you are going to go and get the employees who are working. To find who are the employees that are working, we come for the employee table. So once you come for the employee table, you can see for the project 1, employee 1 was working. For the project 2, employee 4 was working. For the project 3, employee 2 was working. Should we come and take the project 4's who is working data? No, because that project 4 was started after May. In the question we want before May, so we are going to ignore project 4. Then we are going to be like project 5, employee 2 was working. Project 6, employee 4 was working. So by going from the fifth table, second we are going to go for the project table. Okay, and the project table, we are going to figure out who are the employees that worked. Okay, from the project 4, we are going to figure out who are the employees that worked for the projects that started before May 2024. Is that clear? Now, now if you come here, we have already the employee IDs. But the question has mentioned that we want the names of the employees. So I have the IDs here. I want to figure out their respective names. So where should I go next? And correct. To figure out their names, I have to go through the table number 1. So if you want to figure out the names of the employee, that's basically 1 to 4. Okay, the answer is basically 1 to 4. One of the employee was Nimal, other employee was Arjun, other employee was Martin. These are the people who worked on the projects that started before May 2024. So for you to figure out these answers, first of all, you have to go for the project table. Figure out what are the projects that started before May. Then go for the assignment table, see who are the people who are working, and then find their names. So technically, these are the three tables you have to go through. Is that clear, all of you? So order is not important in the question, but you all have to know the idea that you can't just randomly write these answers. So now writing the answer, order is not important, but I'll write in the correct order. First, we are going to go to the project table. Second, we are going to go through the project underscore assignment table. And third, we are going to go through the employee table. You have to mention all three tables' name. If you mention any table extra or if you mention any table less, 0 marks. Exactly, only these three has to be mentioned. If you mention even one table extra, one table less even, no marks. So you get the 2 marks only if you wrote the exact order doesn't have to be correct. You can jumble the order, but only these three tables' name has to be there. Have any questions? Drop in the chat. So always keep in mind when they give the word called query or join, they're asking you to find the data from the question. Always better take a highlighter and go for the exam paper. It will be easy for you to figure out these keywords. You can see when I'm going through the questions, because I've highlighted the keywords, I am more focused on the question. I'm not going out of focus on these questions, or I'm not forgetting the context. Why doesn't it start with employee? Okay. You start with employee and tell me how do you, what is the data you're going to obtain from this table? Okay, if you're going to start from here, what is the data you're going to obtain from this table? We have 4 columns now. One. Okay, tell me the employee names who are working on the projects that started before May 2024. What are the names? What do you mean by none? I found out Nimal, Arjun, Martin, all three of them are working. So how can I say none? How can you say none? It's not given. It's not given when you can't start from here. If you're saying you have to start from here, tell me how to start from here. If you're saying you have to start from here, you have to tell how to start from. You can't just randomly give stupid answers like that. Huh? You have to have a reasoning. Start. How can you start with the name? Do you have some what do you call magical powers in your head to figure out people with these names they can start projects before May, others can't start before projects be May? Is there even a single data in this column, in this table, that gives you a way to figure out when did the project start? No. If you want to figure out what are the projects, you have to go in this order. I showed you, right, how to get the data. Changing the order is not a problem. Changing the order is not a problem, but I'm saying you all should know how to find the data. You all can't be what do you call so blank in finding the answer. No? Exactly, Hannah. Like if you're finding an answer, you can't just be, you all should be very good at solving puzzles. If you all should be able to connect the dots. Like for example, if I give you this record and if I ask you this project P04, it was the project came from which customer, you all should be able to tell me. Okay, look at that, what do you call P04 and tell me this P04 project came from which customer? What is the name of the customer? No, no, Zaina. Who is the customer that gave me the project P04? Exactly. P04 was given by the customer. Nico products gave. How do you know Nico products is the customer that gave me that project? because I take the custom ID from here and I figure out, okay, the custom ID is C001 and I map it with this. So you should know how to map these data. Huh? You all can't be blank and confused on what is mapping with what. Okay, so this is what connecting the dots are. Next, if you have any questions, drop in the chat. Company decided to recruit 2 new employees for the HR department and project from a new customer. Let me highlight it, the underlining. So the company has decided to recruit means hire 2 new employees, it seems, for the HR department and project from a new customer. Company decided to recruit 2 new employees for HR department and project from a new customer. I think they have to mention and obtain a project. So recruit 2 new for HR department, recruited 2 new employees for HR department and project from a new customer. I think it has to be obtained new project from a new customer. That time the English doesn't make sense. Or and gets a new project from a new customer. Either obtain or gets whatever. Which table should be updated? So there are 2 things mentioned here. If you read this question properly, first thing they're saying is there is 2 new employees they're joining for the HR department. Second thing they're saying is there's a project they got from a new customer, Okay. So first of all, tell me if I want to show that 2 new employees have joined for the company, for the HR department, you can use table numbers. Use table numbers and tell me what are the tables I'm going to update to show that there are 2 new employees joining for the HR department. Nicely go through the table and tell me. To show that there are 2 new employees joining for the HR department, what are the tables I should update? Correct. There are 2 tables we have to update for that. There are 2 tables we have to update for that. Perfect. To show that there are 2 new employees joining for the HR department, obviously the 2 employees details like the employee's name, employee's customer ID, those things were mentioned 2 records here. So employee table is going to get updated. So employee table will be like having the 2 new employees data. Apart from the employee table getting updated, another table also has to get updated, which is the department table. Because if you hire 2 employees for the HR department, will this count here, employee count? Will it be the same or will it increase or will it decrease? If I'm going to recruit means hire 2 new employees for the HR department, it's going to be same, increase or decrease. Exactly, it's going to increase. So I have to update that as well. So for that portion, to show that 2 new employees are hired for that, what you call the HR department, to show that, I'm going to mention that we'll update the employee table and the department table. But still, you're not done with the question. This is to show that 2 new employees have come for the HR department. Now, and then they have said, we have obtained a new project from a new customer. So to show that we have got a new project from a new customer, what table should we update? Again, you can tell me the table numbers. I'll give you a hint again. For that was there's 2 tables that has get updated. Exactly. To show that we have a new customer, we'll update the customer table to show that we're getting a new project. Okay, we're getting a project now. To show that we are getting a project from that customer, we'll update the project table. Okay, so new customer, record in the customer table. And to show that we're getting a project, we'll update the project table. So answer there is going to be customer and project. So we had to update in total actually 4 tables to show that things they have mentioned in Roman number 2. So for Roman number 3. For Roman number 3, if you exactly mention only these 4 tables, you get 2 marks. If you mention any table extra or any table less, 0 marks. Exactly only these questions. Any questions, anyone? By the way, if you all had mentioned any extra table, if you all have a reason why you mention, you all can let me know in the chat. Don't directly come and mention, sir, can't we use project assignment table? If you're saying, okay, we are going to use project assignment table, give me a reason why to use. So likewise, just go and tell why to use project assignment table. Okay, you're saying we're going to use project assignment table. Why to use project assignment table? What is the purpose? Why is marking schemes so cruel? It's not so cruel, man. They're baby feeding you stuffs. So if the questions are so easy, and if you don't know the content, then why should they be lenient with you? Because for the employee, we have to assign a date for the project now. Which employee? Have they told that these two new employees are working in the new project? Have they mentioned that these two new employees are working for the project? To find the project idea. We're not even finding something, man. We are hiring new employees. We are creating new customers. We are starting a new project. There's nothing to find here. You have to update the project assignment table only if a specific employee is going to be assigned to a respective project. If there is no employee assigned for a respective project, then why the hell should you update that? It's like, for example, imagine we have a table called classes table. So in this classes table, let's say I have grade 10 ICT, grade 11 ICT, grade 10 maths, grade 11 maths. I have multiple classes. Then let's say I have students table. So let's say in students table, I have Amal, Bimal, Chamal, all the students details. And let's say I have another table called class underscore student. So this has the details of who and who are coming for what classes. So let's say there's a new student called Amal who has joined for the academy. So there's a new student called, let's say Emily has joined for the academy. So you will update the student table, fine. But just because Emily has joined for the academy as a new student, will you go and put him in the respective class? Do you even know what class she has joined? Do you even know what class she has joined? If I tell there's a new student called Emily who has joined for the academy, can you go and assign her to respective class without knowing what class she's coming for? Hmm? Can there be questions that answers all the tables? Yes, definitely. Majority of the oral questions are like that. You go through majority of the past paper questions. Majority of them are you would update all the tables. Can't we use only the department and customer? Department and customer is only for the front part. Then how are you going to show that there's a new customer? The question is mentioned that there's a new customer and they've obtained a new project. So if you have got a project from a new customer, how are you gonna update that? The answers are directly given in the question in some. Exactly. If you read the question, you can easily map it. Again, I'm telling you, if you have any question, ask. But before asking your question, just ask for your own self. Nikal na katak tino kila don't ask. Okay. Asking questions, think and ask because some of you are like, when a new project comes, should I go and update the employee table? No, right? If you're telling, okay, we're gonna update the employee table, give me reasons. Because if you're because sometimes I can go wrong. Because again, I'm also doing the question for the first time. This is not a question I have done. This is the first time I'm doing this question. I haven't even seen this paper. Okay. At least you all have gone through this question before I came to this question. So you all know what are the questions here. It's the first time I'm seeing here. Okay. So if you feel like this table has to be updated, give me a reason. Because like I said, I can go wrong. Is it just me or your voice is actually lagging? Is my voice lagging for this? So to update that part, we want this. Can't use only department and customer. To update that part, we want this. Basically, employee table and department table, this is needed to update the new customer has joined the HR department. And then customer table and project table, these are needed to show that there's a new customer and we have got a new project. So these two are for this, these two are for this. Is that clear, Zuro? Okay, next. I'll tell later. Write down the primary key of the project assignment table. Okay. Tell me what is the purpose of primary key? If you have a primary key, what do you think the purpose of a primary key would be? Hmm? Let's say in a table, if you have a primary key, what is the purpose of the primary key? Why do we need this thing called primary key? Okay. Hmm. Not tables, rare record. Perfect. The purpose of a primary key is to uniquely identify records. Okay. Uniquely identify record. Or let's simply say, if you want to explain a record uniquely, then you can use a primary key. So if I take the primary key, always you keep in your mind, primary key values have certain properties. Now, the purpose of primary key is to uniquely identify records. The purpose of the primary key is to identify records. Identify records uniquely with a purpose. Now, primary key has certain properties. For example, the value has to be unique. And the value has to, mostly value has to be something that will never change as well. Because if it's a value that keeps on changing, that's a problem. Not a compulsory rule, it's an indirect rule. Then apart from the value has to be never changing. So unique means it should not repeat. So yeah, this is the main thing. Now, one thing you have to keep in your mind, when you're going through a table, you can't always rely on the given data only. You can't rely on the given data only. Practically, you have to ask your mind and see, can it repeat? Whenever you're going to see the primary key, you always ask yourself, even though it's not repeating now, in future, can it repeat? That question has to be there in your mind. Okay. Now, first of all, let's see what are the tables that have repetition. What are the columns that has repetition data? Okay. So we are going to find the primary key for the project assignment table. No? So look at the project assignment table and tell me at the moment, based on the given data, are there any repetitions for project ID? Perfect. There is no repetitions for the project ID. Perfect. Are there any repetitions for the employee ID? Open your eyes and nicely see. Yes. So if there is repetitions for the project employee ID, can we take the employee ID alone as a primary key? So you can see there is a employee 2, employee 2, employee 4, employee 4. Can we take employee ID as a primary key alone? No. Next, can we take the role as a primary key? Again, no, because again, role also you can see there are repetitions. Primary key values, they can't repeat. Then can we take, so basically we found out that you can't take this column, you can't take this column. Assign date, can we take this, so go through this column and tell me, are there any data sets repeating? Are there any data sets repeating? Perfect. 25th March, 25th March. So there is a data that's repeating. So therefore, this also we can't take as primary key. Now in this table, if you look at the columns, project ID is not repeating. But just because it's not repeating, can we take this as primary key? What do you all think? Yes or no? It's not repeating, fine. Based on the given data, it's not repeating. But can we take as a primary key? No. Because if you can remember in the beginning, as I told you, we don't depend just on the given data. We always ask, can it repeat? I told you in the beginning itself, when I started this question itself, when I was explaining each table, I told you, if you take a project, even though in the given table only one employee is assigned for every project, practically speaking, in real companies, will there be multiple people assigned for the project? Yes. So say I want to show that, let's say, for example, I want to show that Martin is going to work on the project called for the project one. Okay, let's say for the project one, I want to show that Martin is also working. So I might mention something is for the project one, the employee three, Martin is employee, so employee four is working, let's say, as a software engineer. And let's say he started working from 28th of March, as a example. Okay. So keep in mind, even though in the given data it's not repeating, even though in the given data it's not repeating, what do you call it can practically repeat. If a new role is given project ID, it will repeat. Ignoring, yeah, exactly. Okay. So if there's a now here currently only one employee is working, but if another employee works in the same project, there will be repetitions. So always keep in your mind, don't depend only on the given data. Always ask yourself whether it could practically repeat. So finally, I'm going to ask you a question. In the project assignment table, is there a single column we can take as a primary key? Yes or no? Nahi. Single column we can't take. So when you're finding the primary key, if you can't form the primary key using one column, now you go and see, can we form with two columns? If you can't with two columns, then you go and find with three columns. If you can't with three columns, then you go and find with four columns. We keep on increasing one by one. Okay. I didn't get it. Can you explain again? So what I was saying was, wait, I first of all, Zainam, tell me, are you clear that employee ID role assigned it? These three can't be taken as primary key. Are you clear with those? Basically, primary key values has to be unique. So what do you mean by unique? Unique means it can't repeat. The word unique means what? It can't repeat. So if a column is taken as a primary key, that column can't have any values that will repeat. Is that clear? If a column is taken as a primary key, that can't repeat. So for example, if I took the employer table, sorry, the employee ID column, you can see there is a repetition for employee ID. Therefore, you can't take employee ID as a primary key. Is that clear? There is repetitions, so we can't take this column as a primary key. Same thing with role as well. Role also there is repetitions, so I can't take as a primary key. Assigned data also you can see there is repetitions, so therefore I can't take as primary key. Clear? Why we can't take these three columns as primary key? Perfect. So now if you look at the first column, there's no repetitive data. If you look at the given data, there is no repetitions. But even though in the given data there is no repetitions, you have to ask yourself first of all, practically won't there be repetitions? So practically speaking, in a real world scenario, won't there be repetitions if you ask? No. There will be repetition for project ID. So if you ask me in which situation will there be repetition for a same project? Okay, for example, say let's say this project called P01. That is to make the Nico HR system, this system, okay? To make this system called Nico HR, let's say we are going to have multiple people working. For example, in the given data they have mentioned, for the Nico HR, employee one is working. Who is employee one? Nimal Fernando. In the question they have mentioned that Nimal Fernando is working for the project one. So let's say along with Nimal Fernando, let's say Martin is also working. So how will I show that? I'll mention project P01 and mention for the project P01, Martin is also working in that same project. Employee 4. Got it? But project ID is used in other table too, right? So how could it? You can't tell like that. There is nothing called one table has one project. What do you call? You can't reuse primary key. There is no rule. A primary key in one table can be a primary key in another table as well. There is no issues. So you can't use that logic and tell it's not a primary key. Okay. That's why you know nicely notice in questions. Have you even got a single question in your exams where they just ask go to the table and give me a primary key? They'll always whenever they give you a primary question, when they ask you a primary key question, always they mention something called write the primary key along with the table name, or they'll be like write a primary key in this table. Have you noticed that? Whenever they're giving you primary key question, they never ask you name a primary key in the above table. They'll be like name a primary key along with the table name, because always a primary key is respective to a table. So you can have the same thing here, same thing there as well. Name is not a problem. Okay. Now there is two assumptions I had to make for this question. So there are two assumptions. Based on two assumptions, I have two different answers. Assumption number one. Mostly if you take companies, right? Mostly if you take companies, if you take one employee is going to work only as one role. Like one employee will have one role in one project. What I mean by that is, for example, let's say there is a project where Nimal is a project manager. If he is a project manager, he'll be only a project manager. He won't be a project manager and software engineer both in one same project. Okay. That's how mostly projects are. So I'm going to consider like that. I'm going to consider a situation where if you take one employee, if he's working for a project, he's working in that project as one role. It's like, for example, let's say I'm having a house. For this house, let's say I'm having what you called hiring multiple laborers. So one laborer I'm hiring, let's say for painting, and let's say another laborer I'm going to hire what do you call hire for tiling, and let's say another laborer I'm going to hire for, let's say carpentry work. So in this case, one laborer is going to do only one work. Okay, the same laborer will not do painting and tiling both karan hai. So that's the assumption I'm going to make for this question. Okay, that's how normally software development companies work. But you can have two assumptions as well. I'll tell you what the other assumption is. So if you're going to have that assumption, then you can tell the first record is talking about the project number, sorry, employee number one working for the project one. Employee number two, sorry, employee number four working for the project two. Employee number two working for the project three. Employee number three working for the project four. So when I'm explaining each record, I'm going to say this record is talking about employee one working for project one, employee four working for project two. So when I'm explaining every record, I'm taking two columns data. I'm taking the first column, second column, first column, second column. So if I take first column and second column both together, then there won't be any repetitions. When I'm explaining the record, if I'm taking both of these columns together, then there won't be repetitions. Okay. That is only if I'm taking the assumption where one employee is working only as one role, not multiple roles. Huh? Is that clear? That I can explain each record uniquely if I take these two columns together? Yes or no? If you have any questions, ask your questions. I want your questions to be phrased. Then only I can what you call address the respective question. So there are two possible answers you can mention for the fourth question. You can either mention for the Roman number 4a. One answer you can mention is we can take the project ID and employee ID only. Project ID and employee ID together. Okay, project ID and employee ID together. So plus employee ID together. Okay, this is the answer. This answer is valid if one person is going to work only as one role. But if one person is going to have multiple roles in the same project, then you have to use all three columns. So If you mention both the answers, both are correct. Only project ID, employee ID both together also is correct. Or else project ID plus employee ID plus role. All three together also is also correct. But project ID is your answer. I didn't get that logic. It's like this. For example, let's say there's a fellow called Amar. There's another laborer called Bima. There's another laborer called Chamar. You know what is laborers, right? Yes or no? Yes, Surya. Okay, perfect. So for example, let's say I have two houses. I will call this house one. I will call this as house two. Okay. So there are three laborers and two houses. Let's say Amal is working in the house one as a painter. Bimal is working in the house one as a carpenter. In the house two, Amal is working as a painter. And let's say Chamal is working as the carpenter. Now, if you notice here, Amal is working in the house one as well. Amal is working in the house two as well. Right? Bimal is working in the house one as well. So let's put Bimal also here. So let's say in the house three, there are three employees. Amal, Bimal, Chamal, all three are working. And let's say Bimal is working as, let's say, the electrician. So you can see Amal is working here, Amal is working here. Bimal is working here as well. So Bimal is working, let's say, only the house, or Bimal is working both the houses. In the house one, Bimal is working as a carpenter. In the house two, Bimal is working as an electrician. And if you take Chamal, he's working only the house three as a carpenter. So if you look at this situation, a specific employee or specific laborer, when he's working in a house, he is doing only one job, not multiple roles. Okay. Bimal, he's only the carpenter. He's not doing electrical work in house one. He's doing only one job in one house. So if that is the situation, then the answer is going to be the first answer. Is that clear? One person is doing only one work in a house. Does that make sense, Tyra? But let's say one person is going to do multiple works. Like for example, Bimal, in the house one, apart from doing carpentry work, let's say Bimal is going to do the electrical work as well. So if Bimal is going to do the carpentry work as well as electrical work, both the work, then in that case, you can't just take only employee. You can't just take just the employee and the work in the house he's working on. Apart from that, you'd also mention the role he's working as well. So the role is important only if the same person is going to do multiple things in the same house. Does that make sense? If Bimal is going to do multiple work in the same house, then role is also needed. Got it, Tyra? Mostly all are easy shift. If I just mention as project ID, is it wrong? Yes, just project ID is wrong because, like I told you, project ID can repeat. Project ID can repeat. So it means a primary key could be multiple fields. There's a special name for such primary key. Okay, these kind of primary key to form. If you're going to form the primary key using multiple fields, there's a special name for this. We call these as composite primary key. Okay, these primary keys are called composite primary key. This is also primary key, but it has a special name. Got it? Rush, that was what I was explaining here, exactly. That's why we call as a paper class, Anna. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. By the way, how many of you all mentioned the answer? Let me know the answer. How many of you all mentioned this answer? Like project ID, employee, and role, all three together. Did any of you all mention that? These three fields. I hope you're clear on why is that the answer right now? Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll answer the question B and 5. Just give me a few minutes. Y'all, I'll come to the question number 5, 8. Do the Roman number 8 and Roman number 10. I'll start the question number 5. For the balance question, I'll start. Just do the Roman number 8 and the continuation of last week's work. Do these two questions. I'll be back soon. Okay, sorry on the gap. In order, we'll ask tricky questions like this. This is not tricky, man. This is bloody easy. What is hard here? You just have to think. Use your brains. I hope you'll have a brain. When there's a separate topic called composite key, they can use it, right? But they have used primary key. Because composite key is a type of primary key. It's not type of primary key. It's a name we can use. Like, for example, let's say, now, for example, let's say, if I want you to find the employee who is having the ID as employee 5, I can tell name the employee. Uh, or if I ask you the question, who is the person who has employee number 5? What will be your answer? If I ask you the question, who is the person who has employee number 5? What's your answer? Surya, I'm asking you. Kavindi. Now, the same question I can ask you. What is the name of the, what do you called, what is the name of the girl whose employee ID is employee 5? What's the answer? It's the name of the girl whose employee ID is employee 5. What's the answer? Kavindi. Now, earlier I used the word called person, and now I use the word called girl. So when I say person, this person can be either a boy or it can be a girl. You don't know. But if I say girl, then you know it's definitely girl, right? So if you take person as a set, have you done sets in maths? Okay. So if you take person as a set, so boy and girl is basically a subset. So for example, if I take this as girl, the balance outside will be boy. Same thing. If I take primary key as a set, okay, if I take primary key as a set, composite primary key is like a subset there. So if they give you that composite key, like if they give you the hint, then you can easily find the answer. No? There is no kick in that. No? Reading the question, you have to make it interesting. So they won't use the term in exam. Depends. If they want, they will use. They don't want, they will not use. There are certain questions where they have used. It is there. Okay. So yeah, if you got the answer for the Roman number 4a, if you mention either one of these two answers, you can put 1 mark there. Both are correct. One of these answers you mentioned, put 1 mark there. Any other answers are wrong, huh? If you're asking what is my preference, I would prefer the second answer actually. This answer is what I would prefer, but both answers are correct because we don't have enough of data. Write down the foreign keys in the employee table. Okay. So basically, foreign key is another table's primary key. If I have two table, okay, and let's say in one table we have a field taken as a primary key. Let's say this field is called the primary key field. If the same field is mentioned in another table, then we call it as a foreign key. I'll explain using the given data value. So they're asking the foreign key for the employee table. No, no, sir. Okay, they want the foreign key in the employee table. Okay. Now, if you want to find the foreign key, before you find the foreign key, there's one data which you have to find. Okay. That is, you have to find, first of all, what are the primary keys of all the table. Now, project assignment table, we found the primary key already. First of all, let's find the primary key of the remaining tables. Go through the department table and tell me, in the department table, who do you think is the primary key? Perfect. In the department table, the unique field we're going to have is the department ID. The primary key is this. Similarly, go for the customer table and tell me, what is the primary key we have in the customer table? What is unique for every customer? Name is not unique. There can be two customers with the same name. Yes, custom ID is going to be the primary key. And then same surname can be different. No, I can have the same name. For example, if you take what you call this company called, it's called the company name, or not customer's name, it's company name. The customer name here they have mentioned are actually companies. So for example, if I take companies like, let's say, um, okay, let's say if you take the company which Rizlansa owns, what is the name of that company? What is the name of the academy which Rizlansa owns? Perfect. It's Master Academy. You all know this YouTuber called Chanuk's Pro, right? If you all don't know this blogger. He also owns an academy. What is the name of his academy? Any idea? He also owns Master Academy. I go and type for Master Academy.lk here. Master Academy.lk. This Master Academy.lk, this domain you can see it's owned by Chanuk's. So same company name. So can company name be unique? He's a YouTuber for information. Custom ID plus custom name. Why do you have to take two fields? You will take only two fields if one field is not enough. Are there reparations for custom ID or will there be reparations for custom ID? No. Custom ID is something unique for every custom. So that's going to be unique here. There is no reparations. If you're saying there will be reparations, you're giving me a situation where it will repeat. Then I will try to consider your answer. Customer name I showed you. My master agreement is the answers I have. That much also I have. So there'll be same customer name for that. If you want for a situation where email can repeat, I can give a situation where email can repeat as well. Let's say I am a customer. I have two companies. So let's say I'll mention one of my company's name here, other company's name here. Email, I've got to mention same email because I'm the same owner. It's just that I have two different companies. Okay, so customer name can repeat, customer employee can repeat, only the ID is unique. What is the primary key for the project table? Correct. In the project table, the primary key is a project ID. Again, if you're telling that we have to take multiple fields together as a primary key, you have to always give me a reasoning of why we can't take a table field alone. In project assignment table, project ID plus employee ID can be taken as primary key. Are you literally blind? Like blind? Are you like blind? Guys, have I made any spelling mistake here? Like, is my letters here not readable? I literally gave you the answer here when both are correct. Just project ID and employee also is correct. All three fields are also correct. If you ask me what would I prefer, I would prefer the second answer, which has all three fields. And I gave you a reasoning as well when I explained the situation. Can we create fake emails? Yeah. There's lots of websites to create fake emails, like email generators. Anyways, so now we want to find out the foreign key of the employee table. If you want to find foreign key, I told you first of all you should know the primary keys of other tables. Now we found out the primary key of other tables now. For example, department table, department ID, customer table, customer ID, project table, project ID. We have figured out the other fields, other tables, primary key. So now what you should do is to figure out the foreign key, you have to see, do we have another table's primary key in our table? Okay. Employee table has 1, 2, 3, 4 fields. So we have to see, is any of these field a primary key in another table? If you take employee ID, is employee ID alone a primary key in any other tables? ? Is employee ID, like you said, if you're the customer twice, wouldn't you have the same customer ID? No, 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 no. It's two different companies, no. I said again, customer is one company. So for example, let's say if I have a company called, if I have two different companies, both my companies will have two names. Like for example, I'm going to call one of my companies as ABC Limited and next companies I'll have the same name. But it's two different companies. I will mention these as two different emails. Got it, Zaina? Like it's two different companies. Okay, so come back to the question. Is employee ID a primary key? No. Is employee name a primary key in any other tables? It can. It can. I'm not saying it always has to be same. I'm saying a situation where email can repeat. Anyways, tell me, is employee name a primary key in any other tables? Yes or no? In any of the balance table, we have four tables. In any of these four tables, do we have employee name as a primary key? No. Do we have the contact number as a primary key in any other tables? No. Do we have the department ID as a primary key in any other tables? Yes. So always keep in mind, foreign key is another table's primary key. Another table's primary key. So when I go through all the what you call fields, that is going to be a foreign key. It's going to be a foreign key because it's a primary key in another table. But the name can repeat. No. Why will the name repeat in the customer table? Wait, what do you mean by name can repeat? Which table are you talking about, Surya? Are you talking about customer table or employee table? Like, what are you talking about? Okay, in employee table, which field are you talking about? Employee ID, employee name, contact, department ID. Where can you see customer ID in the employee table, Rushta? I think my eyesight is broken. I can't see customer ID here. Where can I see customer ID here? I'll zoom in and show you if you can't see. Where is customer ID here? In the question, what are they asking? Foreign keys where? Ah, so focus on employee table. You asked whether ename can be a primary key. I did not ask whether ename is a primary key. I asked, is ename a primary key in another table? Is it a primary key in another table? Hmm? And if you're wondering whether ename can be a primary key here also it can't be because there can be two employees with the same name. There can be two people with the same first name, same last name as well. So yeah, you can't take name. So the answer there is going to be department ID. So if you mention department ID, mark it correct. Put one mark there. Will have any questions, drop in the chat. I might be savage with my reply, but I'll reply a question. Don't worry, so you can ask it. You even doubt on your same eyesight. Sarcastically, yes, Zura. Next. You're such a rage bait. Terms and conditions apply. If your question is like a pure, beautiful question, I won't mind. I will not rage bait you when I'm answering. But I would have given you warnings. Like I would have been like, then like I would have told you some warnings and then only addressed the question. And when you completely forget that warning, that's where I get pissed off and I start rage baiting. Why can't we take employee ID as a foreign key? Okay, if you're taking employee ID as a foreign key, it has to be a primary key somewhere else. So tell me, where is it a primary key? Another table's primary key. So tell me, in which table is employee ID a primary key? If I'm going to take employee ID, is it a primary key somewhere, Sarah? No, because I showed in department table, department ID, customer ID, project table, project ID, project assignment table, both these fields together, not alone. Huh? In project assignment table, both these fields has to be taken together for the foreign key. Sorry, primary key. So employee ID alone is not a primary key anywhere else. Therefore, it can't be taken as a foreign key. Got it, sir? Why, Suraya? Why? Wonder how many people are currently scared to ask questions because you reply to them savagely. You ask questions when don't think that I'll reply savagely and keep your questions for yourself. Don't worry, I will not mention your name. I'll always mention your, but unless I want to really make fun of you, I'll not take your name. You can give disclaimer as well if you really want. If you're so much worried about me mentioning your name, ask me a question. In a composite primary key, can't we take a part of it as foreign key? No. Because idea of what you call foreign key is another table's primary key. So it should be a primary key of another table, not a part of another table's primary key. No. So the primary key in the assignment table is both of these together. This is the primary key. Primary key is these together, not alone. So if it's together, they're okay. But you don't get foreign key as composite primary key. That doesn't never happen. Avamanam if you tell our names. I don't tell your names unwantedly. Now, how many questions I've answered? I don't tell your names if your question, if you I don't tell the names if you are having a stupid doubt. If you have a real doubt and I'm addressing, I want you to reply my doubt, reply my questions, then I'll mention your name. I will not traumatize everyone though. Why, Suraya? Why? This is not spreadsheet, Zura. This is database. So spreadsheet is this. So are you referring to spreadsheet or database? Zura. I mean, database. So that happens. You can change your name when asked. So, but he know the real name exactly. Okay, next. I'm not asking because you're replying like horrible. That's because you are completely forgetting context. You literally forget that we are talking about the employee table when you ask that question, right? Because your moolah is not in one place, your moolah is scattered. Ah, focus, focus. Okay, next question. Wait, in the project assignment table, what if the project P01 employee 1 is changing the role? And how can the primary key be for that? It doesn't affect the primary key. Let's say, for example, employee 1 is working as PA. So you come and modify SC here. There is no change. But wouldn't it repeat? No, it won't repeat. Why would it repeat? How would it repeat? Because, like I told you, he can work in two roles. Okay. If he's working in two roles, then I'll have one record with PM, another record with SC. But if he's replacing, then I will cut and change. If he's working for two roles, I'll have one role with PM, another role record with SC. Hmm. Now what can I do? No, it'll take time, so don't you feel bad for us when you rage bait? I don't rage bait the people who ask pure questions. I only rage bait the people who are living in dream world when I'm explaining. Terms and conditions apply. Sometimes if you're not in the dream world also for fun, I'll rage bait you. But yeah. But if I mention more than one primary key when the answer is only one? There is no more than one primary key in the table given for your information. Like every table you're going through, there's only one primary key. Only project assignment table, there's two options. If you mention both the options, they'll choose one and give you the marks. But the remaining four tables don't have multiple primary key. Okay, next question. It is required to add a new field to store to store customer's contact number. To which table should we update this? Okay, it's very easy. Where should we update the new customer's contact number? If I want to store the customer's contact number, which table should I update that? Hmm. Correct. We are going to store the customer's contact number. So that's the details about the customer. So we can update the customer table. So give me a moment. Why can't we take employee table? Because is there a data relevant to the employee? Is there any connect? Is this data relevant for the employee? The customer's name, customer's contact number is customer's contact number. Data relevant to the employee. Saifur Rahman, I'm asking you. Yes, Surya. Actually, you please are creating names stupid does or explore the names. Yeah, if you're asking stupid doubts, if your doubt is actually like for you, it might feel stupid, but if your doubt is actually, even though for you it's stupid, if your doubt actually has a meaning, I will not ignore it. I only ignore the doubts if you ask a doubt after, like when I'm in the fifth question, if you ask the doubt about the first question, that's where I ignore. Well, I'll come to that after this. Oh, no, we don't have time. Next week I'll explain that, Zainab. Saifur Rahman, I asked you a question. Is customer's contact number anything relevant to employee? Why are we taking customers table? Okay, if you're not taking customers table, then what table should we take, Krishna? No. We're going to store customer's contact number. We are going to store it in customers table. So answer is going to be customer table. If you mention any other tables extra or any tables list or any other tables basically, you get 0 marks here. Only if you mention customer table exactly, you get 2 marks there. Employee because it has a contact column. Eh? Did you even read the question? The question is saying we want to add a new field. New field means new column. If it already has a contact number column, then why should we, what is the justification to add the customer's contact number here? And what is the connection between employee and customer, man? Like, what is the connection between employee and customer? Educate me with your ideology, please. Can't record in the project table. We can record in the project table, Zamir, but if you record in the project table, there's a problem. The problem is there will be unwanted repetitions. Like, for example, let's say I want to store product Nico products contact number. Here also I will store, here also I will store. So let's say I want to store what you called KEV products contact number. Here also I will store, here also I will store. So unwantedly there is repetitions. Is that clear, Amir? You can store here, but the problem is if you are storing here, unwantedly there is repetitions. So it is not suitable to store. Because this, if you have this repetition, it can lead to another problem. It can lead to data redundancy when there are updates made. When we got something called data inconsistency and data redundancy. So sometimes if you're going to store the contact number here, let's say, yeah, here, sometimes, let's say you want to update the contact number, you updated it here, but let's say you forgot to update here. Then here it will show Nico HR has one contact number, here different contact number. To avoid that problem only, you can store only here. Then if you're updating, we'll update only here. One shot update. Now here, multiple updates has to be made. Does that make sense, Samir? So practically you can store there, but not suitable. Okay, all of you tell me out of 10 marks, how many marks you all got here? And those who have any questions, drop in chat. And Zamir, let me know are you clear with your doubt. When will you explain in the next, what will you explain in the next class? I'll start by explaining the Roman number 8 and Roman number 10. Once I'm done with these two questions, I'll do a spreadsheet question. Not this paper spreadsheet, different spreadsheet question. Okay, 8 marks, 7 marks, 8 marks. Good. Others? 4 marks, fine. 8 marks, 7 marks. That's fine, that's fine. You all might get little less marks, more marks. Completely fine. That's fine, Amina. No issues. And what the question which I sent you? That's why I said spreadsheet questions there. But with the explanations, I understood. Good job. I got 5, that's fine. Samir, I asked you a question, you didn't still reply. It was yes or no question, man. Is it spreadsheet? Chai, அதுவும் தெரியாவா? Anyways, nice question. I asked you to get the idea of what I told, the problem that can happen by storing contact number here and here. Okay, good job. Bro, scared to be rage baited by you. Okay, anyways, it was a nice question. See, none of you have got 10 marks on. That means it shows how nice this question is. So what do you called? Make sure you do the question properly, all of you. And remember the stuffs I told you. Always don't just focus on getting the correct answer, like listening the correct answer and marking it on your writing. Like I ask you to maintain a separate writing book, no? Without just recording the correct answer. When you make questions, when you make mistakes in a question, always, if possible, with the red pen, just put a star point and mention what is the mistake you mentioned. Like for example, let's say in this question, okay, question number 4A. For the question number 4A, if you had mentioned the answer as, let's say, project ID, then take a red pen and mention. Don't always depend on the given data. Always ask whether could it repeat. Not is it repeating. Always ask could it repeat. Killer. The mistakes you make, just mention with a red pen. So that next time it'll always be there in your head. When I'm checking for primary key, I should not depend only on the given data. I should not check is it repeating. I should always ask could it repeat. So likewise, the mistakes you made. Okay, like for example, let's say you made a mistake in finding the foreign key as department ID. Put a note and keep the mistake you made. A foreign key should always be a primary in another table. Okay, so likewise, if you mention the customer for the last question, if you had mentioned employee ID, put a star point. The question is asking about customers' details, not employees' details. So likewise, the mistakes you'll make, always try to record and keep so that you will not repeat or the tendency to repeat will reduce. Got it? Annotate your ICT like your English literature book. Exactly. Anyways, with that, we're done for the day. Those who have any questions or can stay and ask others or can leave. You like questions that makes me think to the deep. Yeah, I like questions that actually makes you think. I don't like question that spoon feeds you all, to be honest. I've sent some questions in WhatsApp. Will you be able to discuss it today? Yeah, sure. I'll pray Marib and come and I can discuss. Those who have any questions, you can stay and ask. But because some of the questions are there, so those questions I'll stay and ask. Just give me around 10 minutes. I'll pray and come and then I can discuss them. You're welcome. What's the difference between composite primary key and foreign key? Okay, Hannah, do you know the difference between primary key and foreign key? Same difference. Because composite primary is also primary key. It's like, for example, the difference between a boy and a monkey is the same difference between a human and a monkey. So if you know the difference between a human and a monkey, that same difference only a boy and a monkey also have. So boy is basically a type of human. So composite primary key is just a type of primary key. At the end of the day, the difference between primary key and the difference between foreign key and composite primary key is same thing of primary key versus foreign key. Does that make sense, Sana? Barakallah. Good job, Zainab. Did I inform you about an upcoming seminar? Not for y'all, for grade 10, she asked to come. I'll be coming for the grade 10s. I didn't still give a date, but for grade 10s, I might come in July. Let's see. Yes, I'm in no issues. Understandable, sir. I didn't still check. Give me a moment. Zuha, can you drop your message? Oh, your message is there. Zuha, that logic gate question, right? One logic gate question. Yeah, both are it's logic gate questions, right? I messaged you yesterday regarding the grade 10 recording as you asked to contact you via WhatsApp. I think you have not seen it. I'll check, I'll check. Ramla is a number ending with 6412. Like 412. That number. You don't know your number, Jai. Isn't it the same between monkey and a boy? No, right? Animals and humans. Okay, I'll answer your question. Give me a moment, Hannah. So, as well. No, no, Hannah, no. I'm just an equal person who rage bait both equally. What about this? Will I get a reply? I want to ask you if for that you have to actually, Krishna, you have to um you have to go to the Grama Sevak and only get the application form, as I can remember. It took a long time back. But you can just take your ID card now. Why are you applying for postal ID? Directly apply for ID. You can apply for ID in 15 years, I think. Is what away. No, Ziran, what is not wet? It has a high viscosity. If you don't know what is viscosity, ask your science teacher. They'll teach you what is viscosity. I think you can actually apply. Just check, Krishna. Not exactly, Hannah. But yeah. If you have a second term papers, can you? I have to check. I should have. I check. Can I get the great in ASCII recording yesterday's one? I want to join. Shaz, can you drop me WhatsApp message? I sent it to you. We can't do orals with postal ID. They directly said no. Without with postal ID, you can't do orals, it seems. Go apply for the ID. You can apply ID now. Put it in. You can apply ID from a small age. Go and check and see. 8245. 8245. Okay. I'll send. Okay. Will it take time to complete the question which I sent you? So your question has lots of what do you call things which I can teach others. I wanted to do in the class. Don't worry, I will not. Problem. It's just the last problem. Both are stupid, but monkey is a bit brave. Fair enough. Okay, I'll give you like 5 10 minutes. You can pray and come, and then I'll discuss that question. What is the question? Yeah. So basically, those are going to pray. You can pray and come. Within like 5 10 minutes, I'll start discussing this question. And once I'm done with this question, I'll be going for this question. So if you all want, you all can do it until I pray and come. I'll start discussing this question at around 7:15. Okay. 15, 7:20. Yeah, you all can do this question until that. We start at 7:20, yeah. I did not still pray. At 7:20 p.m. let's start. Okay, sorry on the delay. Let's start now. How the Zuha, are you here? Hmm. Okay, perfect. Let's start. Okay, let's start. Which one do you want first to do? The small question or the big question? Hey, you got Lyceum? Oh, interesting. I heard that they removed what do you call semester or something, and they have replaced it with multiple monthly tests or something. Some bullshit, something they were saying. Is it true? Or still do you all have first term 2 or 3 monthly test, second term 1 monthly test, 1 semester, third term? All right, okay. Did you study in Lyceum? Yes. Tudum, 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 tudum. Which branch? I went to Pandara. I went to Pandara, but my siblings went to Rangikoda. Okay. So draw the logical circuit and the truth table for the following logical expression. That's x dot y plus which branch are you going to draw? Plus x dash dot y dash. Okay, so the question is asking you to draw the what do you call logical circuit and the truth table for the logical expression given here. Or we can also call this as a Boolean expression. So first of all, go through these expression and tell me what are the unique letters you can notice here. Correct. The unique letters we can notice here are just X and Y. So I'm going to mention that. Now, when you're drawing the expression, there is a pattern of how you draw. First of all, draw the brackets. Second, draw the NOT gate. Third, draw the AND gate. And last, only you draw the OR gate. So that's the pattern we're going to follow here as well. So I'm going to go for the brackets first. In the brackets, I have X dash dot Y dash. Okay. But if you look at the expression, I have X and Y. To make the X, no, this is called X dash. Huh? To make the X become X dash, I'm going to use the NOT gate. So once the X goes through the NOT gate, X will become X dash. Once the Y goes through the NOT gate, Y becomes Y dash. Is that part clear? So now I have a X dash and Y dash. In this portion, I have here X dash. Here I have Y dash. Perfect. So X dash and Y dash, they're joining through the dot. Dot represents which gate is being used. Perfect. In Boolean expression, dot represents the AND gate and plus represents the OR gate. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is these two X dash and Y dash, I'm going to pass it through the AND gate. So I'm drawing the AND gate here. So now the result of this is going to be X dash dot Y dash. Is this part clear? So you can write X dash dot Y dash like this. So also you can write like this also, both are same. Okay. Perfect. Now when you proceed, you can see we are done with the brackets. This part is done. So I told you once you're done with the brackets, next you go for the NOT gate. So that is also done. And now if you go, we have two options. So with this part, we're done. Okay. Now this part is completed. Now we have two parts remaining. Here we have the AND gate. And here we have the OR gate. So tell me, out of the AND gate and OR gate, which one should I draw first, based on what I taught you? Perfect. Out of these two, I'll draw the AND gate, which is x dot y. So this portion is x dash, this portion is y dash. So if I'm going to take x, I'll get the value from here. Now it's going to touch here. To make sure that I show that it's not touching, I do a small curve. So I have x here, and from here I will take y. So now I have x and y, and I'm going to mention here x and y is going to go through the AND gate. Okay, so look at this properly. The one that's coming from the top, that's x. The one that's directly coming from the bottom, it's y. So the result of this is basically x dot y. Up to here, is it clear? Is it wrong if we didn't draw according to the order? Yes, it is wrong. So now I'm done with this part as well. So now you can see this portion and this portion, both of them have to be joined using the OR gate. So I'm going to connect the OR gate here. Okay. In this question, did they have something mentioning here? Something is equal to x dot y. Did they mention something there? No. Okay. If they had mentioned something as p equals that or f equals that, you can mention the letter here. Anyways, this is how the Boolean expression is going to be. Sorry, the logical circuit is going to be. Is this part clear? Okay. So now let me show you how you draw the truth table. To draw the truth table, first of all, again, likewise, like earlier I told you, you first of all should know what are the unique letters we have here. So if you look at the expression here, we have x and y now. So I'm going to take one column for x and one column for y. For every unique input, we take one column. After you have one column each for every unique input, for every unique output, create another column. So if you look at this situation, we have one output that's coming from here, which is x dash. We have another output that's coming from here, which is y dash. We have another output that's coming from here. It's x dash dot y dash. Let me just take it down. I took it down so I get more space. Okay. And then the output I have from here is x dash dot y dash. So for that, I'll have another column. And then for the output I have here, it's x dot y. And the output I have here, to find the output, always you have to go to the input. Okay. So the input from the top is what? X dash dot y dash. The input from the bottom is what? X dot y. Always, if you want to find the output, the easiest way is find the input first. And then if your input has multiple characters, like multiple letters, then put brackets. See, there's two letters, so I put brackets. The top input also has two letters, I put brackets. And a symbol to represent it. So these are OR gate. To represent OR gate, we're using plus symbol. So I'll mention that here. Swapping the order is not a problem. The question you can say x dot y is front. Here put x dot y behind. That's not a problem, okay? If we draw xy first, then draw the x dash and y dash and add them, not a problem. Is it wrong if we didn't draw according to the order? No, you can draw in any order, there is no issues. I'm just drawing in this order. X dot y. Now in this truth table, out of all the columns, only the columns I drew in yellow color is actually important. Orange is better to have. Anyways, now how you fill the truth table is you start with the right side corner input. Now I have X and Y as two inputs. I go for the right side corner input, which is Y. Okay. And wait, before that, you have to know how many rows the table will have. So you can figure out how many rows this table will have with the equation like this. Rows is equal to 2 to the power, the number of inputs. Now in this circuit, how many inputs did we have? Input means the unique letters. So how many inputs did we have? Perfect. We had two inputs. So number of rows is equal to 2 to the power 2. So 2 to the power 2 is 4. So now I know this truth table will have 4 rows. So let me draw 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. Without separating, Harim, I missed your question. What is it? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the right side corner input. Here my right side corner input is actually Y. You just go in the pattern of filling it as 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, like fill in that pattern. Okay, just until you go for the last row, just go in the pattern of filling 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. And then you go for the next input and double it. So double of 1 is 2, right? So 2 zeros, 2 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones. You keep on filling. Let's say we have another row. If you have another row, we double it. What is the double of 2? Double of 2. 4. So if I had another row, then here I will have 4 rows and 4 zeros and 4 ones. If I had another row. Got it? Perfect. Without separating drawing the NOT gate for X and Y, can't we draw the NAND gate for it all together? No, it is not the same. Keep in your mind, X dash dot Y dash is not equal to X dot Y whole thing dash. These are two different things. If you draw the truth table, you'll notice the truth table for this and truth table for this will be different. You can draw and see. I'll show it later. Okay, so I start filling the inputs here. Now, if you take x dash means opposite of x. So when x is 0, x dash is 1. X is 0, x dash is 1. X is 1, x dash is 0. X is 1, x dash is 0. Just write the opposite. Same thing for y dash. Y dash is opposite of y. When y is 0, y dash is 1. Y is 1, it's 0. So just keep on writing the opposite here. Up to here, is it clear? Perfect. When you say x dash dot y dash, the meaning is we're going to compare the x dash column and the y dash column, and we're going to compare using the AND gates logic. So how AND gate works is AND gate goes and checks is all the inputs 1. Okay. The AND gate, it will go and check are all the inputs 1. OR gate will go and check is any of the inputs 1. Is either one of the inputs 1. This is the idea of how AND gate and OR gate works. Okay. So AND gate is go and check is all the inputs 1. So the input we are going to check is X dash and Y dash. Are all the inputs 1? Yes. So yes is going to be represented using 1. Here all in second row, if I compare X dash and Y dash, is both the inputs 1? No. So I'm going to represent as 0. The third row, is all the inputs 1? No. In the last row, is all the inputs 1? For X dash and Y dash basically? No. Both are 0. So I put 0, 0, 0. Next we have X dot Y. X dot Y means we're going to compare the X column and Y column using the AND gate because dot is representing AND gate. So X dot Y is this. This is X column, this is Y column. We're going to compare both of these columns using AND gates logic. So if you compare both of them, are both the inputs, are all the inputs 1? No. Second row, are all the inputs 1? No. Third row, are all the inputs 1? No. Last row, are all the inputs 1? Yes. So I feel that like this. Is this clear up to here? Suraya, the textbook doesn't have everything. Next. The last column, if you take, we have there x dash dot y dash plus x dot y. Now x dash dot y dash is this column. X dot y is this column. So we're going to compare both these column using the plus. Plus means OR gate logic. Okay, OR gate goes and checks is either one of the inputs one. So if you compare these two and see is either one of the inputs one? Yes. Next row is either one of the inputs one. In the second row, if you compare both those columns, is either one of the inputs one? No. So I mentioned zero. The third row is either one of the inputs one? No. The last row is either one of the inputs one? Yes. So I had one. So result is going to be something like this. This is how your truth table would be. Got it? Perfect. Any questions here? This question? Zuha, do you have any questions here to clarify? Okay, perfect. Let's go for the next one. First, let's go for the 11th question. In the 11th question, they have mentioned which of the following represents the below truth table. Okay, so how we are going to check the answers? First of all, you should know the idea of how these gates work. Okay, first, when you take not gate gives the idea of the opposite of the input. Did I ask you to inform me at the end of the class, Ira? Ira, are you free on Thursdays from 5 to 6:30? On the coming Thursday class, in the paper class, we'll be discussing oral questions regarding the third lesson. So if possible, join that class, and at the end of that class, just ask me. Is that fine? Okay, perfect. So if you take not gate can have a maximum of how many inputs? Zuha. No, this is how the not gate works. So not gate can have a maximum of how many inputs? Only one input. Okay. So if we have input A and input B, that means we are talking about a situation where we have two inputs. Can we pass two inputs inside the not gate? No. So therefore, this answer is definitely wrong. So now we are filtered with three answers. Okay, we are filtered with three answers. So first, let's check the AND gate. AND gate goes and checks. AND gate gives you one only when all the inputs are one. If all the inputs are one, output is one. So if it's AND gate, that means if you compare all the rows, first row, second row, third row, and fourth row, in which row do we have all the inputs as one? Only the fourth row. So is the truth table giving you one only in the fourth row? No. So therefore, AND gate is also wrong. So now we go for the next option. The next option is the OR gate. OR gate gives you one if any of the inputs is one. If either one of the input is one, it gives you output as one. Okay. So based on OR gate, if you go and check, if you have the first row, second row, third row, and fourth row, what are the rows that have at least one of the inputs one, or at least either one of the inputs are one in which rows? 2, 3, 4. So in this situation, is it that only in the 2, 3, 4 we're getting one, other rows we're getting zero? Is that how it's working? Yes. So that means the answer is a OR gate. Is that clear? Perfect. Question number 12. Which of the following Boolean expression represents output Q of the circuit shown below? Okay, so let's go one by one. So if you look at this situation, first of all, A is going through the NOT gate. Once A goes through the NOT gate, A will become A dash. And you can see B is going from down here. So A dash and B, both of them are going for this AND gate. So this AND gate has two inputs. The input from the top is A dash. Input from the bottom is B. To represent by using AND gate, I use dot here. So output that's coming from the AND gate is A dash dot B. Is that clear? Perfect. Next, the same B is coming from here and joining this second circuit. So if you take the OR gate we have here, the input from the top is A dash dot B. Input for the bottom is B. And normally if your input has more than one character, use the brackets. Okay. So the top input has multiple characters. I'm using brackets. Bottom input don't have multiple characters, so I'm going to keep it as it is. To represent OR gate is used, I'm using a plus there. So that's the result here. Is that clear? Perfect. Yes, perfect, Ida. No issues. Then I have a NOT gate here. For the NOT gate, the input is this whole thing. The brown color whole thing is coming as input. What NOT gate will do is it will add a whole thing for the whole input. This whole thing is one input. For the whole input, NOT gate will add a dash. So it will be like this. So if you look at the answers given, the first answer is A dash dot B dash. Not B dash means is wrong. Second answer has A dash dot B dash. Wrong. Third answer has A dash plus B, not plus. Wrong. Fourth answer has A dash dot B plus B whole thing dash. Yes. So fourth answer is the correct one. Is that clear? So sometimes keep in mind that A dash without writing like this, they'll also write like this. Both are same. That's why you can see they put the line as a dash and they put the line for the whole brackets at last. Next. Which of the following statement is correct about the logic gate given below? Let's take one by one. In the first one, they have said if P equals 1, that means if 1 is coming from here, and Q equals Z1. So if 1 is coming from here, the value of R is 1. Let's check. If 1 is coming from both the inputs, what will be the result of this OR gate? Tell me. If both the inputs are 1, what will be the result of the OR gate? No? So what will be the result of the OR gate? Perfect. The result of the OR gate will be 1. So when this 1 goes to the NOT gate, what will the 1 become? Like, when the 1 goes to the NOT, sorry, when one goes to the NOT gate, it will become. Its NOT gate gives the opposite of the input, so 1 will become 0. So the first one is saying if P equals 1, Q equals 1, value of R is 1. Is the value of R 1? No. So therefore that is wrong. Now we'll go with the second option. The second answer they are mentioning that if P equals 0 and Q equals 0, value of R is 1. Let's check. If both the inputs are 0, what will be the result of this OR gate? If both the inputs are 0, what will be the result of the OR gate? OR gate goes and checks, is any of the inputs 1? Is any of the inputs 1? No. So no is represented using 0. So now when the 0 goes to the NOT gate, what will the 0 become? Perfect. 0 will become 1. So based on that, tell me, is the second statement correct? Yes. So the answer is the second one. If you want, we can verify the third and fourth as well. Let's just for verification purpose, let's do the third and fourth below. The third answer they have mentioned, if P equals 0 and Q equals 1, if 0 and 1 is the input for the OR gate, what will be the result of the OR gate? Perfect. The result of the OR gate will be 1. When this 1 goes to the NOT gate, 1 will become 0. So therefore, you can see third one is wrong. Third one, they have said R is 1. So fourth one, if you check, in the fourth one, they have mentioned if P is 1 and if Q is 0, if it goes to the OR gate will go and check is either one of the inputs 1. Is any of them 1? Yes. So one is 1 goes to the NOT gate, 1 will become 0. Is it 0? No. So the correct answer is option B. Clear? Perfect. Any other questions, anyone? Welcome. Anyone else having any other questions? Okay, so as there's no other questions, I am going to end the meeting. Have a nice day. Bye. Okay, Ramla.